friends, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Vicki and you're with Grammy in the kitchen. Today I don't have to really cook anything. We have plenty of soup left over to get us through today. But I do have plans. I want to make some bread. If you've ever had fermented honey and garlic, really good immune booster as well as a gut healer. So during the winter, I always take a teaspoon of this honey every day. That's the one I made 2 months ago. But I had some from last year that I pretty much depleted all the honey out of there. So I went ahead and put all the garlic and the leftover honey in a food processor and I blended. I want to make some bread with that today. I bet that would be really good in some bread. As well as we need to fill our spices over here. So I have a list that I'm going to take into the pantry and get all the spices we need to fill up those little containers. As well as later today we're going to clean those freezers. We are doing the 3 Rivers Challenge using only pantry items for the month of January. I need to clean my freezers out so I know what I have in there, so I know how to meal prep for the month of January. I have 2 freezers. One's a 5 cube and one's a 7 cube. I used to keep meat in the 5 cube and pretty much everything else in the 7 cube. Well, as I kept buying things and buying things and buying things, they just got wonky in there. So I need to go in there and clean it out. Without further ado, aprons on, let's go ahead and get this day started. Alright, we're going to make the bread using the pureed fermented garlic and oil. So I have 2 cups of warm water, 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. I need to add a 1/2 cup of sugar, but because the garlic and honey is also sweet, I'm only going to do 1/3 cup of sugar. Let's give that a mix. I'm just going to wait for that to bloom. Our yeast has bloomed. Now we're going to go ahead and add 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1/4 cup of olive oil, and this is a 1/2 cup measuring cup. It's not filled to the top, but we're going to add the garlic puree in there. Make sure we get all the goodness out of that measuring cup. Now we're going to mix this up a little bit. And we have to add 5 to 6 cups of flour. I always start off with 3. Scrape down the sides. Ooh, if nothing else, it smells so good. 4. 5. Put a 1/2 cup, so that's 5.5. Right, now we're going to go ahead and move over to the island. I'm going to put in the oven on the proof setting till it doubles in size. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. I have this scratch on my face. We have a cat. The husband and I have a cat. It's more his cat than it is my cat, which is fine with me. But the other night he decided to get right on the pillows between the husband and myself. And for some reason he got spooked and he went to go jump over us, and when he did, his claw got me. So the cat's name is Morty, and he did that. So we're not going to mess with it. I'm not going to cover it up. This is real life. Y'all get to see the elephant in the room. So going into the pantry, I realize we do not have any basil. That's going to scare me. So I do need to put that on my next Azure list. This is Celtic sea salt. And I just fill up this jar. This is an actual mustard jar. This is bay leaves. And this was a pound bag of bay leaves, and I do share this with my daughters. Oh, smells delicious. If you're lucky to have a bay tree in your yard, I envy you. I just keep a pint-sized mason jar on the counter for bay leaves. That is all the basil I have until I order for next month. Alright, we're going to do some oregano. Quart jar of oregano. If you remember, we bought these one-piece lids together to replace the two-part lid on our spices. So while I have it out, I'm just going to take care of that. Alright, this is Italian seasoning. This is rosemary. Peppercorn. And I do have another pound of peppercorn in my third phase. That is it for that one. So when I open that up, I know I need to add it to my list. Cumin. Two lids left. This has to go back into the pantry. But I'm going to go ahead and fill the sugar, this flour, and while I have it out, I'm going to go ahead and top this one off. So I keep sugar in this 5-pound bucket with a gamma lid. Good thing I got some sugar coming in 2 days. One is all-purpose flour. We have that much in here. This is a 2-cup measuring cup. Love this thing. Makes filling up my kitchen pantry so much easier when it comes to flour and when the sugar is too heavy for me to pick up. And the rice, I love this thing. I got it from Measure. So one of my flours is full. Let's go ahead and fill the other one up. Alright, so sugar's filled, flour is filled. I'll go ahead and need to put everything back into the pantry. So these are some chili peppers that I got from Azure. It's been a while since I got them, but they were on clearance. And they're supposed to be super hot. Not clearance, they were on sale. Not sure how hot they are. They're not too hot. Alright, so our dough has risen, doubled in size. I have the 2-pound loaf right here, some coconut oil. Put a little bit of coconut oil on a piece of paper towel. And we're going to coat the inside of this pan. Make sure we get into the corners and all the nooks and crannies. Alright, so we got it nice and coated. Got my bread roller. It is so beautiful. So beautiful. Alright, I'm just gonna roll it out. Probably going about a 1/2 inch thick. Can you see all the garlic bits and pieces in there? Right, now I'm gonna fold it into thirds. Then I'm going to fold it into thirds again. And I just want to get it as big as the pan. We have developed the glutens. It is trying to fight us. But we're going to push through that. Turning it a quarter turn. Trying to roll it out. And we're going to roll it up. A very, very tight roll. And bring the open in. Pinch it down. We're going to tuck in the ends. And we're going to tuck in the other end. And then we're going to put it in here. Taking the same saran wrap. And we're going to cover it. Let it rise the second time. The bread rose and then I put a slit down the side because it will split, and I'd rather tell the bread where it's going to split than the bread tell me where it wants to split. And then I put it in the oven and I baked it for 35 minutes, took it out, and it is cool. Now we're going to cut into it. So this is the fermented garlic and honey. I cannot wait to make a sandwich out of this bread. It smells so good. But you can see right here, I put a slit in it and it opens. But if you don't do that, it'll split somewhere on the top. And I'd rather control where it splits. Alright, let's go into the pantry and work in there. Okay, we're in the pantry. Right here, you can't see it, but right here I have a card table that I got to start placing things from the freezer on. I got a notebook and a pen so I can take inventory of what we have in the freezers. And I'm wearing gloves because, you know, it's going to be freezing. So we're just going to go through this one freezer at a time, pull everything out, log it, and we're going to try to put only meats in this freezer and only produce, fruit, dairy products in this freezer. First, we need to empty this freezer. So I went ahead and took the ground turkey out of the original package and put it in some vacuum sealed bags. And I did the same thing with the chicken breast because I do have some more ground turkey coming. I put an X on there so I know to use these first. We're going to do the first in, first out rule here. And then if you remember when we canned the pork barbecue, and I told you I had gotten some Boston butt on sale at 99 cents a pound. I know I have one was in this one freezer, and I know I have two over here that I'm going to move into this freezer. Okay. Whew. Even with the gloves on, my hands are cold. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and move on to this freezer. I don't want to leave my dumplings out, so I'm actually going to put them over here for right now. And this is our Stacy's tortillas. So I had two very large bags of broccoli. So what I did is I just vacuum sealed those into smaller bags. Had to put the husband's gloves on. It was so cold. These baskets right here, I got from a suggestion from Becky at Acre Homestead that put like items in a basket. That way when you need to pull it out the freezer or put it back in, it does perfect. It actually fits the perfect width of the freezer. So I use one for my most common vegetables. Then I have one down here with some broccoli. Then I have one down here with just berries, such as my heavy whipping cream, my cream cheese, and my butter. That's the one I am trying to get to the most because I do have 15 pounds of butter coming and I need to make room for that. And just so you know, heavy whipping cream, cream cheese, and Parmesan cheese freezes great. So I just have this bin right here that has just heavy cream cheese, and Parmesan cheese. When I get my butter in a couple days, that will also go in here. So I think I'm okay on that. So I have 6 9, 10. I think that's 8, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so let me log that down. Now, when I buy the cheese in the 5-pound bricks from Azure, I always buy the case, if you want to call it a case, that has 2 bricks in it of the same cheese. The 3 cheeses I buy is mozzarella, the white cheddar, and the pepper jack. And what I usually do is one of the bricks I would take to the restaurant that I worked at, and I'll slice it. And the other brick, I will shred it, and I'll put it in Ziploc bags. But just so you know, cheese freezes great. So this is some cheese. This is cheddar, and I just put about that much, maybe 1.5 inches. I don't count it. That's too tedious for me. And I just wrap it with saran wrap, and then I just keep it in the freezer. It freezes wonderful. I just make sure I take it out of the freezer, put it in the refrigerator the day before I want to do something with slices, such as make a grilled cheese sandwich, or the shreds when I need to make pizza, or if we're going to have tacos. But it shreds and freezes and slices and freezes wonderful. So whenever I buy it, because you get a better price break if you buy it by the 2 or the case. So whenever I need cheese, I buy the 2, slice one, and shred the other. I need to try to figure out how to keep an inventory on the freezer of what's in the freezer. So I got some clear contact paper that I was going to put on there. I was going to write my list, and then in a permanent marker, and then I was going to write how many I have, and that way when I take one, I can tally it out with a dry erase marker. If y'all have a better idea, let me know, because knowing what's in the freezer as well as what I'm using from the freezer to give me an inventory of what is left would be greatly appreciated. I'm just going to go ahead and put the card table down. Because I really need to figure out, because I know I have 16 1-pound packages of ground turkey coming on the next Azure order. And I have 5. So it's going to give me 21 1-pound pieces of ground turkey. So I need to know, as I'm taking it out, how I can log what's left in there. I saw somewhere where they just have contact paper on their freezer, and I figured, okay, I'll give that a shot. If it doesn't work, it's just contact paper. So let me go ahead and get started on that, and then I'll show you what we did. Okay, so this is the 7 cubic one, and I just wrote all the things that are in there and how many we have. This is the smaller freezer, and then I have everything that's in there and how many we have. So what I'm planning on doing, for instance, whole chicken says I have 8. When I take one, I'll cross out that and write a 7. And if I buy any to replace, I'll cross out the 7, because they come in a case of 8. So I will cross out the 7 and then write 15. And I'll do that for every one of these. Such as ground turkey says I have 5. On Friday, I'll end up getting 16 more. So I will cross that out and write 21. That's why the lines are so long, so I can do it several times. The blue is actually dry erase, so all I have to do is just erase that. The black is permanent, as well as the lines are permanent marker, but rubbing alcohol will get that off if I end up changing something. Like leg quarters I don't always have, so when I go through those and I want to replace that item with something else on my inventory sheet, easy peasy. So I feel so much better knowing that now at a glance I can see what we have in these freezers. I feel so much better. So much better. So, thank you for hanging out with me while we cleaned up the freezer. I needed the motivation, and you were my motivation, and I do appreciate it. So just before Christmas, sorry, the glasses are dark. They change from sunlight to artificial light. Right before Christmas, I made some bread, and this is with fresh milled hard white wheat. And we will not eat this much bread. I'm going to go ahead and turn them into bread cubes, let them dry out, and that way if I want to make stuffing during our challenge or anytime, I'll have some shelf stable bread. So I'm going to tilt you down so you can see what we're going to be doing. So whenever you're cutting bread, you want to make sure you use a serrated knife. I'm just cutting them into cubes. Because whenever I make stuffing or dressing, whatever you call it, I always use homemade bread. And I know we will not be able to eat all this bread. Especially since I'm making another loaf of bread. So this bread's going to get repurposed. Alright, I'll bring you right back when I get everything cubed. I'll just leave it right here for about 24 hours. Occasionally I'll come through here and just give it a toss and just let it air dry. And then once it's completely dry, we'll go ahead and put it in the same Ziploc bag and store it until we're ready to make some more dressing. I just want to say thank you for joining me today while we made some fermented garlic and honey bread. I have 2 bags here. I'll probably keep one and give one to my son-in-law. And we cleaned out the freezer and organized it, and it got an inventory. I appreciate you hanging out with me. If you don't mind, go ahead and hit that like button. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe. We will love to have you part of the Grammy family. Until next time, which will be the Azure order, I'll see you soon. Y'all have a wonderful day. And again, Happy New Year. So the question is, do you like hot, spicy food? Son who lives in North Carolina and the son-in-law who also lives in North Carolina love spicy foods. They have a small patio that they have a garden that they grow in pots. Next year I'll have to take you along with me so you can see their setup. It's awesome. Little spaces, a lot of products. But they grow all kinds of peppers. It's crazy. They love hot stuff. I like hot stuff, but not the way they do. Well, since I got you sitting on one of my new Christmas presents, I thought I'd explain it to you. So it's sitting on this thing. It's called a telesin. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. But it recognizes where you are and it'll follow you. So it's pretty cool. So if I walk over here, see, you're following me. If I decide to go over here, I absolutely love this thing. That way I can say my spice rack over here, you can see that. If I talk about the Berkey, you can see that. So I don't have to walk around the island to adjust you according to where I'm standing. You follow me. My husband got me that for Christmas and I absolutely love it. So it'll even follow me out as I'm walking into the living room, down the hallway to the pantry. To give you an example, see, you were following me. And that's the entrance to the living room right there. It's so cool. I love it. Well, still waiting